Good morning, brethren, and welcome to our bi-weekly program entitled The Word in a Glimpse, which is broadcast live on Facebook every Monday and every Wednesday at 8 a.m. West Africa time, which is 7 a.m. GMT. Today is Monday, the 17th of October, 2022, and our topic this morning is entitled War of Signs. War of Signs, Part 1. Let's first read the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 7. Revelation, chapter 12, verse 7. Revelation, chapter 12, verse 7 reads, "And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought." Let's read again. "And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought." See, there is always war between God's army and Satan's army. The dragon they are talking about in this passage is Satan. Satan, who was Lucifer while he was in heaven. In fact, he's still Lucifer, but he's called much more Satan than Lucifer now, but it's the same person, the same character. So there is always war between God's angels on one side and Satan's demons on the other side. You know, Satan was living in heaven. His name was Lucifer. He was living peacefully in heaven with God and all the angels. And Lucifer was the chief angel. He was the one who was the link, the direct link between God and all the other angels. Lucifer was the one who was welcoming all the angels who were going to God to praise or to worship God. So all the praise addressed to God and all the worship addressed to God were passing through Lucifer. And because of that privileged place, Lucifer became highly proud. He became proud and envious. He coveted God's place because of that. So Lucifer then thought of ousting God from his throne and taking God's place. He prepared a coup against God to take God's place, to become God in the place of God. So God then sent Lucifer out of heaven with all the angels who decided to join Lucifer. These formed a third of all the angels who were in heaven. So Lucifer was cast out of heaven with all his followers, the angels who decided to follow him. So he became Satan, and those angels, those fallen angels, became demons. And since that time, since he was cast out of heaven, Satan has decided to attack everything that belongs to God, everything that pertains to God. He decided to attack it. because he has lost his privileged place in heaven. So Satan has decided to chiefly attack man. Man, who is the most precious creation of God. When I say man, I mean both man and woman, of course. So Satan decided to attack chiefly man, the most precious creation of God. And to make this war against man, Satan uses both direct attacks and the replacement of God's sign with his own signs. In fact, Satan imitates everything that God makes or that God does. He tries to imitate it. Or to put it better, he counterfeits everything that pertains to God in a man's life. So Satan counterfeits everything that pertains to God in man's life. Satan presents to man what Satan has made as being what God has made. So Satan replaces God's genuine things with his own counterfeit things. And one of the things that Satan counterfeits and replaces is signs. Satan's war against man is about signs. Not only, but it's one of the main attacks of Satan. One of the main wars that Satan has or is fighting against man. So Satan's war against man is at the level of signs. Let's read in the book of Psalms. Let's read in the book of Psalms. We're going to read Psalm 74. Psalm 74. We're going to read two verses, verse 4 and verse 9. Psalms chapter 74, verses 4 and 9. Let's read. Your enemies roar in the midst of your meeting place. They set up their banners for signs. We don't see our signs. There is no longer any prophet, nor is there any among us who knows how long. You see, signs are banners that serve the same purpose as flags for countries. When you see the flag of a country, you know what country that is. When you see the flag of a country somewhere, you know that that place is in a way or another related to the country of that flag. So signs are therefore a mark of identification. They are a mark of identification. They serve to identify places, people on whom those signs are. You remember, for example, in ancient tribal societies, they were used to scarify people's faces with tribal signs to show which clan, which tribe, or which family the person belonged to. It is the same with the banners. Banners too show belongingness. When a banner is planted or when a banner is spread somewhere, it marks the belongingness of that place to the entity that is represented by that banner. Thus, there are signs that show who belongs to God, and there are also signs that show who belongs to Satan. Because signs are banners, as we said. So they identify the person, they show the belongingness of the person or of the place. Let's now read Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. We read, "Then God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years." Let's also read Genesis chapter 4, verse 15. Genesis chapter 4, verse 15. "And the Lord said to him, therefore, whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him." So when they say the Lord set a mark, it could also be read, the Lord set a sign. It's the same thing. In some versions it is said sign. Anyway, we said that signs are marks. So God has first designed signs to make a difference between periods of time. This is the very first time that God has made signs, that God has designed signs. This was just to set a difference between periods of time, mainly between day and night, between seasons and years, and to separate days from other days, to separate days from one another. And those very first signs were the sun and the moon. So this, and also the stars. So the sun and the moon and the stars served as signs. These were the very first signs that God has designed. The sun is a sign for the day, while the moon is a sign for the night. These first signs, Satan didn't counterfeit them. Satan didn't make a different sun or a different moon or different stars. Satan couldn't change the duration of the day or the duration of the night. Satan couldn't change the duration of years and the duration of seasons. This means that there are signs which are not counterfeitable. But all the signs, Satan always tries to counterfeit them. So later on, God designed signs for men. He designed signs for humans. The first man on whom God has put a sign was Cain. After Cain had killed his brother Abel, God cursed him and drove him from his sight. He drove him from the sight of God, from the face of God, which made Cain become a vagabond. And Cain clearly understood that not being in the face of God anymore He had lost God's protection and safety. Cain then understood that anyone could easily kill him since God would not protect him. So Cain had the very good idea of pleading with God. He complained about his situation. Let's put it clearly. He didn't ask God to reverse the curse. He knew that the curse was his punishment because he killed his brother Abel. He didn't ask God not to let him be a fugitive and a vagabond. He only needed God not to let him be killed by anyone who would find him. Thus, God set a sign on Cain for no one who would find him to kill him. So he set a sign on Cain so that anyone who would find Cain should not kill Cain. Well, what sign it actually was, we don't know. How that sign was, we don't know. What we know is that it was a mark of identification and a mark of some kind of protection. Thus, a sign can be a mark of differentiation, as we saw. The first marks that God said was to differentiate days and nights, years, months, periods of time. They were to differentiate seasons and so on. But a sign can also be a mark of identification. It can be a mark of belongingness. A sign can be also a mark of protection. But we must know that in the same way that God sets his signs on men, Satan too seeks to set his own signs on men. Because as we said it, Satan always tries to counterfeit what pertains to God, what God has done. Now it is the responsibility of man to either accept God's signs or to accept Satan's signs. So it's your responsibility either to accept God's signs or to accept Satan's signs. Let's read the last passage for today in Revelation chapter 19, verse 20. Revelation chapter 19, verse 20. Let's read it. Then the beast was captured, and with him the fake prophet who worked signs in his presence, by which he deceived those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. These two were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. So signs can also be marks of ownership. So you bear the signs of your master. Is your master God or is your master Satan? Who owns you? Is it God who owns you or is it Satan? The mark that you bear is a mark of ownership. The sign that you bear is the sign of ownership, showing whom you belong to, who your master is. So signs are marks of belongingness and also marks of ownership. We're going to stop here today, and we'll continue with the same teaching on Wednesday, the 19th of October 2022. Meanwhile, dear brethren, God bless you abundantly beyond all your expectations, and have a very fruitful week.